Well, hi folks, and welcome to Sensory Arts and Sciences again. We're back again with Exploring the World Part 3, and this is about self-mental imagery. And Part 1 of this is the mental cast up before we go to any place. And here, for example, we're looking at a rather lovely picture of Prague Castle at sunset, a place you might have been to. Now, I'm John, there's my mug shot on the right-hand side, and I'm the presenter here. And this is all about, as I said, self-mental imagery, a fascinating subject to me, about capturing ideas, images, visionary pictures perhaps, of any place that we may go to. And it's to do with how we register things in our minds and our feelings, of course, but how they present themselves through our minds in all kinds of ideas and the way we're talking about here. Now we're going to be using examples here that I've explored and photographed from around the world, which I've been very fortunate to do. So, okay, well, let's get started and let's have a look further at this. Now, what's in this series? Well, there are going to be 5 parts that hopefully will help us improve the results we get from our sensory arts adventures by improving our abilities to connect to and to register ideas and thoughts and feelings and images from places we go to. Now, first of all, I'm going to start with what I call the mental cast-up process. And that's to do with, number 1, getting ideas and perceptions about a place before we actually even go there. And secondly, gathering impressions of a place while we're there, after we've arrived. And then we're going to move on and have a look at the echo technology. Now we know what an echo is, isn't it? When a sound perhaps bounces back from a building or a mountain or in a landscape, and we hear it bouncing backwards and forwards. And so it can be in the world of ideas and perceptions, that as we go to a place, perceptions, feelings, ideas, images may be bouncing around between us and the place we're at. And the third part here is about those ideas and perceptions we can receive from a place. We're going to be looking at that. And in number 4, we're then going to take some of those ideas and echo or bounce them into ourselves, into our own library of experiences and thoughts and views. And the 5th part is how to help to improve making an essay from all these results. Okay, well, let's investigate and get started. Now, getting ideas and perceptions before we go. Okay, well, just think what happens when you decide to go somewhere to explore. Well, just try and think of a place right now. Here I've got a lovely picture of the Venice canals. How about Venice? Perhaps you've been there or not been there. Well, now, just stop here for a minute and realize our mind has already set about trying to make a connection to the place as we think about it. Fascinating, isn't it? And if it can pick up any ideas about it, it will. Suddenly, thoughts and ideas of Venice will start coming into us. Now, interestingly, one of the most important aspects of any exploration is what we do before we even get there, and how we mentally prepare ourselves back at home almost, and certainly on the journey. Now, these mental connections that we can make, of course, are really quite natural. They're quite normal. What we're doing here is we're trying to use and develop them further. And strangely, and in a way very simply, the most important part, probably the most important part of what we need to do about this is what we've just done, is actually becoming consciously aware of their existence and the fact that they work that way. Because now we can also consciously plan to use them instead of the results and the happening being rather haphazard. And then we start to discover that there's almost a kind of signature feeling that we get when this mental faculty is starting to work and starts to pull in ideas from places that we're thinking about. It's just like the times, isn't it? When you kind of know who's phoning, it's a sort of feeling you get. I just know it's X, and lo and behold, it is. Sometimes we can do it, sometimes we can't. But there's a sense that comes when we get it right, isn't there? Now, okay, so we're becoming aware of this cast up faculty. But then we start to discover, of course, that it will also naturally begin to follow our favourite ways. For example, if we're a chef, we might start connecting to thoughts and ideas of kitchens and food at that place. A musician might come up with ideas of music and things like that, connected with music. But don't worry about this at all, because you're going to follow your favourite ways, but any starting connection is good. Any ideas that start coming into you are good, because they're going to get you going. So just let it run on, but do remember that it is happening. You're normally following your favourite ways, and so do make an effort to expand the scan and awareness of other aspects as well. And one way to do this is to ask ourselves some other questions about other areas to do with the place, as well as thinking about those things that we might be drawn to. So this really leads to one of the most important features of this whole process, which is deliberately aiming to instruct ourselves about what we want to do before we go. Then our mind and senses will get the idea, and they'll try and help us. They'll try and do it for us. It's a natural thing for our mind and senses to do. It's how they work. So, try to set aside a few moments before you go on an exploration to prime the pumps. Focus on the place and mentally set out a few simple instructions for yourself. Now, as we go on and as we start to develop these skills and the mental cast-ups, we'll also find them improving, particularly as we also develop a continuing and widening spectrum of experience, ideas, and background references of the different places we've been to, the different experiences we've had. They will, if you like, create a kind of web of experience that we can draw on as we visit other new places. And again, this is a perfectly natural thing, as the more references we have in all kinds of different areas of our exploration, the better will our mind be able to put together ideas and thoughts for us. So the more different kinds of temples we visit or places, the better we will start to become. And finally, underlying all this mental exploration and our work coming next is this whole idea, the love of the idea of doing it. Our love of questioning and searching for meaning and purpose wherever we go. We're letting ourselves know we want to do it. We're telling our minds and senses we want to develop it. And so not only do we become more alert and on the lookout for new discoveries, but you see, our mind and senses will get the idea that that's what we want, and they will definitely help us as much as possible. And that's one of the things you'll discover. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed it as I say goodbye, leaving you with this rather lovely evocative picture of star ferries at sunset in Hong Kong. Hope to see you with the next part soon. And if you'd like to explore more TFC presentations, do check us out on templatesforchange.org. Okay, bye now, and speak again soon.